Welcome to the Daily Vibecasting. Today, Anthropic puts a hard expiration date on human coding. Google decides that the laws of physics are a premium subscription feature, and a liquid robot just walked out of a sci-fi nightmare to mock our rigid hardware. Let's get into it. Okay, we have to start with the story that is just absolutely dominating the ecosystem this morning. It's a thread from tech analyst Wes Roth, and he's pulled together some commentary from Anthropic's CEO Dario Amodei. And honestly, if you work in software or if you employ people who work in software, this is the wake-up call you probably didn't want.
A wake-up call kind of implies you can hit snooze on it. This feels more like an eviction notice.
That's a fair point. So the core of this whole discussion is about the centaur phase. For anyone not deep in the chess world, a centaur is a human player teamed up with an AI.
Right, the human AI team.
Exactly. And for the last, 2 years, that's been the comforting story for developers, right? I'm not being replaced, I'm being augmented, I'm the pilot, the AI is just the engine. Well, Amodei is basically out here saying that this whole centaur window is closing. And it's closing much, much faster than anybody thought.
He's not just saying it's closing. He's implying the human half of that centaur is becoming a liability. And the timeline he threw out there, that's what should scare people.
What was it?
He suggests AI could be writing 100% of code within 12 months. Not 50%, not just the boring stuff. All of it. 100%.
And the context there is so important. The argument is that the whole centaur model is inefficient because the human is the bottleneck. We type at 40, maybe 60 words per minute. We need breaks. We forget variable names.
Exactly. It's an I/O problem, an input-output problem. You have these models that can think at light speed, but they have to stop and wait for a biological creature to read the screen, nod, and then slowly type a prompt back.
So Amodei is just looking at the efficiency curves and saying,
why are we keeping the slow biological part in the loop?
But here's the tension. In the same breath that they predict the end of human coding, they're also projecting these massive economic gains. They're talking about 10 to 15% annual GDP growth because of this automation. On a macro level, that sounds like a golden age.
Sure, if you're holding the equity. But let's look at the specific language used in those clips Roth highlighted. They use the word bloodbath.
Right.
A bloodbath to describe the future of entry-level white-collar roles. You just can't have 15% GDP growth and a labor bloodbath without a massive, massive dislocation of wealth.
Okay, let's drill into that bloodbath comment. Why specifically entry-level?
Because the whole point of an entry-level job is learning. A junior developer's job is to make mistakes, fix small bugs, slowly learn the system. It's basically an apprenticeship. But if an AI writes 100% of the code, that apprenticeship ladder, it doesn't just lose the bottom rungs. The entire ladder just vanishes.
Yeah.
Who's going to train the senior developers of 2030 if there are no juniors in 2026?
And the industry is not waiting around to solve that philosophical problem. We have hardware hitting the market today that's built for this shift. Look at the announcement from OpenAI and their dev division. They just dropped GPT 5.3 Codex-Spark.
And this is the engine. This is the engine of the displacement we were just talking about.
The specs are they're eye-watering. They're running this on Cerebra's hardware, the Wafer Scale Engine 3 specifically.
And for people who don't follow chip architecture, this isn't a normal chip. It's the size of a dinner plate. It's huge.
And the benchmark they're hitting is over 1,000 tokens per second.
We need to pause on that number.
Yeah.
1,000 tokens per second. I think people hear these stats and their eyes just glaze over.
Break it down.
A token is like roughly part of a word. Most humans read at maybe 5 to 10 tokens per second. The last model, GPT-4, was maybe generating at 50 or 60.
So this is 20 times faster than the last generation.
It's more than that. It's effectively instantaneous. At 1,000 tokens per second, the AI isn't writing code in front of you anymore. It's vomiting a completed application. It's just a flash. You asked for an app and bang, the code is just there.
So it changes the interaction completely.
It's not collaboration, it's compilation. You aren't coding with it, you're just requesting the finished product from it.
One of the engineers on that team, referenced by the handle at Thusio, he described the infrastructure as screaming hot directly from the surface of the sun.
I believe it.
But I want to pivot to the user reaction to this because this is where the market signals get really messy.
The anger.
The anger, yeah. There is a huge backlash happening under the hashtag Keep40. Users are furious that OpenAI is pivoting so hard to these developer tools while they're, deprecating GPT-4o.
This is the her problem, right?
Yeah.
People formed a parasocial relationship with GPT-4o. It had a voice, it had vibes, it felt like a person, but OpenAI is a business. They're looking at the margins.
And vibes don't scale.
Exactly. Vibes don't get you a billion-dollar contract with a Fortune 500 to automate their entire IT department. Speed does.
So they're sacrificing that consumer experience for pure industrial utility.
100%. They're basically saying, we don't really care if you miss your AI friend. We are building the machinery that replaces the software workforce. It's a hard pivot from B2C to B2B infrastructure.
And if you want to see what that B2B infrastructure looks like when it's fully deployed, just look at Y Combinator's latest favorite startup. They just congratulated a company called Tensile AI for launching something called OpenClaw.
This is the specific tool that proves Amodi's prediction is real.
Yeah, we used to talk about copilots, right? Like Microsoft GitHub Copilot. It sits next to you, helps you out. OpenClaw isn't a copilot. Tensile is describing them as full-time AI employees. They run 24/7.
And that distinction is so vital. A copilot waits for you to type. An AI employee runs while you're asleep. The use case they showed off is just, it's brutal in its efficiency.
It monitors sentry logs, right?
Right, which, for the non-technical listeners, are just lists of error reports, the things that pop up when a user crashes your app.
And usually a human has to read those, figure out what went wrong, and then fix it.
Well, Tensile's OpenClaw reads the log, identifies the bug, writes the code to fix it, tests the fix, pushes it live, and then, and this is the kicker, it messages the customer to tell them, hey, we fixed that issue you had. All of it. In under 5 minutes.
With 0 humans involved.
0. So if your job was quality assurance or code maintenance, you're now obsolete. And unlike a human, OpenClaw doesn't get tired, it doesn't need a mental health day, and it costs pennies on the dollar. This is why Amode predicts the end of the Centaur. The Centaur is just too expensive.
It's a really sobering reality check on the speed side of this equation. But while OpenAI and Tensile are in this race to make code instant and cheap, there is a completely different philosophy coming out of Google. And I think this is the story that got a little buried under the hype, but it might be more significant long term.
Speed versus reasoning. That's the split. That's the bifurcation in the market right now.
Exactly. Google DeepMind and the Gemini team announced Gemini 3 DeepThink. And while OpenAI is focused on coding, Google is focused on the physical world, on deep logic.
This is the counterplay. And it's fascinating because they're not trying to be the fastest. They're trying to be the smartest.
The feature set is just wild. They showed a demo where the AI takes a hand-drawn sketch, literally a drawing on a napkin, and converts it into a printable 3D STL file.
So for anyone who doesn't 3D print, an STL file is the raw geometry data you need to actually manufacture an object. This is a huge deal.
Why?
Because it bridges the gap between language and matter. You're not just generating text or an image, you're generating a physical instruction set. You can draw a bracket, and the AI will calculate the load-bearing requirements and build the right geometry to match. It understands physics.
And they didn't just stop at little widgets. They showed it optimizing semiconductor crystal growth for Duke University.
Which is incredibly high-level material science.
And it matched the human average on the ARC AGI-2 benchmark, scored 84.6%. It won gold medals in the physics and chemistry Olympiads. This thing is a serious reasoning engine.
But, and there is always a but, we have to talk about the business model. This is where the societal split really starts to happen.
It's not free.
It's not free. It's not even in the regular tier of Gemini. It's locked behind something called Google AI Ultra.
Which costs, what was it?
$250
A month.
A month.
Wow. That is a steep subscription for a chatbot.
And that's the whole point. It's not a chatbot. It's an outsourced R&D lab. But think about what that price tag does. We're watching the creation of a massive knowledge divide. If you're a funded researcher or a senior engineer at a big tech firm, your company pays the $250. You get access to the AI that understands physics, biology, advanced geometry.
And if you're a student, or just a regular person trying to learn something,
you get the sludge. You get the free model that hallucinates, that makes up facts, that's optimized for chatting, not for thinking. Truth and accuracy are becoming luxury goods. We're heading to a world where the elite have access to reality 2.0 and everyone else is just stuck in this probabilistic fog.
And even for the people paying the $250, I saw the user reactions in the data were, well, there were complaints about the rate limits, only 10 queries a day.
Which creates a scarcity mindset, right? It's not a tool you can just play with casually. It reinforces this idea that reasoning is an expensive, finite resource. I mean, computing power isn't infinite when you're running these deep simulation models.
It's interesting you bring up scarcity and control because Google seems to be doubling down on safety as a product feature. Take a look at anti-gravity. This is their new IDE, their new coding environment. They are not selling speed like OpenAI. They're selling implementation plans.
The irony here is just so rich. You have OpenAI, the startup, acting like the reckless accelerationist. And you have Google, the incumbent, selling brakes.
Explain that.
Well, in this anti-gravity tool, you can't just generate code instantly. You ask the AI to build something, and first it generates a plan like a document explaining the architecture. You, the human, have to review and approve the plan before it's allowed to write a single line of code.
So it's forcing the human back into the loop.
Yes, but at the executive level, it turns the developer into a manager. It's a safety belt. Because if you have a model vomiting code at 1,000 tokens per second, how do you know it didn't just hallucinate a massive security backdoor? Google is betting that enterprise customers want verified control, not just raw speed.
And speaking of understanding what the heck is going on, I saw a mention from at Starnight 12 about CodeWiki. This feels like the unsexy hero of this whole update.
Oh, this is the killer app. It uses Gemini to turn GitHub repositories, which are basically just big folders of code, into interactive manuals.
This solves the legacy code problem.
Which is a $1 trillion problem. Every bank, every airline, every government agency runs on code written 20 years ago by some guy named Bob who retired to Florida. Nobody knows how it works. CodeWiki reads the code and explains it to you. So again, notice the theme. Google is selling understanding. OpenAI is selling generation.
Okay, we've talked about software eating the world. We've touched on this knowledge divide. But I want to bridge this to the concept of fluidity. We're seeing code become fluid, right? Generated instantly. But now we're seeing that same fluidity bleed into the hardware itself.
You're talking about the Terminator story.
The Terminator story, yeah. At Pascal Burnett posted this video of a liquid robot. And I don't mean a robot with smooth joints. I mean a literal puddle.
It is wild. There are no motors, no joints. It's a ferrofluid droplet that splits and merges using ultrasound and magnetic fields. It can squeeze through tiny spaces, reassemble itself. It can even heal if it breaks.
I mean, it's straight out of sci-fi, but what's the actual implication here beyond just, it looks cool?
It signals that hardware rigidity is the next barrier to fall. We're used to robots being these clunky, rigid things that need clear paths. But if you can make robots that are soft, that can navigate the human body, think medical uses, or navigate through rubble in a disaster zone, that changes the fundamental physics of automation.
It's the physical manifestation of the software we were just talking about. Adaptable, shape-shifting, non-rigid.
And yet, look at how we react to it. We scroll right past it. Oh, cool, liquid robot.
Next. Desensitization.
Completely. In the same news batch, NASA posted about Crew 12 launching on a SpaceX rocket to the ISS.
4 astronauts riding a controlled explosion into orbit.
And the reaction is crickets. Silence. It's routine now. Oh, another Falcon 9 booster landed itself. Yawn. We have completely normalized the miraculous. We are so addicted to the new that reusable orbital-class rockets are now boring. We need shape-shifting liquid metal just to feel a dopamine hit.
That abduction to the new and the spectacular is actually a perfect segue to our final segment, the culture industry. Because if you think coders are in trouble, just wait till you hear what's happening in Hollywood.
The visual layer is collapsing.
The filmmaker at Iwanglu revealed a comparison that should terrify every single studio executive. There's this shot in the new Brad Pitt F1 film, a massive high-speed racing sequence. In real life, that costs millions to stage. You've got cameras, cars, insurance, the crew.
And the AI version.
The AI recreated the entire shot for 9 cents.
This is the deflationary bomb. We talk about inflation all the time, but AI is hyper-deflationary for anything digital. And the entire business model of a blockbuster movie is built on spectacle. You pay $20 for a ticket because you can't see that at home. You can't make that at home.
But if a kid in their basement can generate that exact same spectacle for a dime,
then the moat around Hollywood just evaporates. The film might have a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. Brad Pitt might be a legend. But the economics just don't work if the visual difference between a $200 million movie and a TikTok video is zero.
And the tools driving this are just getting faster and more viral. At Min Choi highlighted Seedinks 2.0 from ByteDance.
The parent company of TikTok.
Right, and this tool creates these insane ads, anime, 3D battles, all of it in under 5 minutes. It's already viral in China, and even Elon Musk is praising it.
Let's connect this back to the speed conversation. OpenAI gives you code at light speed. Seedinks gives you video at light speed. The marginal cost of creating content is hitting absolute zero.
But is it good content? Or is it just noise?
It's sludge.
Define that.
Sludge is content that looks and feels like value, but it's actually just filler. The user at Signal broke down the viral formula that these tools are built to optimize for. It's curiosity hook plus research says, plus dopamine insight, fake expertise.
I see this everywhere. Psychology says if you do this one thing, you're a genius.
Exactly. It hacks your brain. It feels like you learned something, but you didn't. It's empty calories. And if Seedance and Gemini can manufacture this perfectly formulated sludge for free, we are about to just drown in it.
So we have that same bifurcation of reality again. On one side, you have expensive verified truth from something like Google DeepThink. On the other, you have free, infinite, entertaining sludge.
That is the war. Authenticity is the new scarcity. When everything is perfect, high-gloss, AI-generated video, the only thing that'll have any real value is seeing a real human make a mistake. The stutter, the bad lighting, the messy thought process, that's what proves it's real.
That is a bleak but probably very accurate outlook. We're just fighting for reality itself.
We are.
So we've covered a lot: the death of the Centaur coder, the $250 physics engine, liquid robots, the 9-cent movie shot. Looking at this whole landscape, what's your prediction for tomorrow?
I am doubling down on the speed versus luxury split. You have to watch the pricing. The speed models, like OpenAI's Spark and these video tools from ByteDance, they are going to race to zero cost. They will destroy service jobs, junior coding roles, low-tier content creation. If your job is just outputting volume, you are in trouble. But the reasoning models, like Google's DeepThink, they're positioning themselves as luxury goods for the enterprise, so the trade. Longs the infrastructure companies like Cerebra's, the energy grid that's powering all this heat, and short the junior employee.
Brutal, but that's why we tune in. Keep your vibes calibrated and your skills sharp. We'll see you tomorrow.